It's over. Bitcoin just broke the US dollar. Not in price, but in principle. Because while you were earning dollars that quietly lost their value, a different form of money was quietly gaining momentum. And before I jump in, if you find this kind of breakdown helpful, subscribing really helps the channel grow. Alright, let's talk about the money problem. Since the 1920s, the S&P 500 has returned about 10% per year. That sounds great until you realize something. We've also printed about 10% more dollars every single year, over that same period. In other words, your investments are running just to keep up. This is the problem that Bitcoin was built to solve. Now let's look at who's noticing. Today, 62% of adults own stocks, 65% own a home, but just 14% own Bitcoin. So who's buying? Institutions. MicroStrategy owns 2.6% of all circulating Bitcoin. Tesla added it to their balance sheet in 2021. BlackRock's ETF, one of the fastest growing funds of all time. Even US pension funds are getting in. And yes, the US government itself holds billions in Bitcoin. 261 companies now list Bitcoin on their balance sheets, not dollars. And 9 countries officially own it too, including China, which is quietly catching up to the US in holdings. This isn't fringe anymore, this is global strategy. So let's talk performance. Here's what's happened since 2015. Inflation averaged 2.65%. The dollar lost 26% of its purchasing power. Home prices doubled. Gold up 181%. The S&P 500 up 200%. Bitcoin up 35,000%. Read that again, 35,000%. But not everyone sold. Warren Buffett once said, "You can't value Bitcoin because it's not a value-producing asset. You're just hoping the next guy pays more." He's not alone. Traditional investors argue, Bitcoin doesn't produce cash flow. It doesn't pay dividends. And most importantly, the US government will never let another currency replace the dollar. But here's the twist. Bitcoin might not need to replace the dollar. It only needs to be a lifeboat. A hedge against the system it was designed to protect you from. That's why I've taken a different approach. I don't go all in. But I do invest a small portion of my portfolio into a Bitcoin ETF on a regular schedule, regardless of the price. It's called dollar cost averaging, and it's not about chasing profits. It's about hedging against the risk that the dollar continues to fall. If Bitcoin goes to zero, I'll survive. If it becomes the new financial backbone of the world, then I'll be ready. The question isn't, will Bitcoin replace the dollar? It's, what if it already has? And if you found this useful, please subscribe. It really helps us out. Educate yourself. Stay diversified. Don't ignore change.